Come in here. Clay, come here. You want to say hi? I don't think there's anybody watching yet, but you can say hi. Hi. So we're doing a test. We're going to see if the anatomy class can get this and therefore be able to do lecture. That's what we're going to try and do. Are you shy? Oh, you're getting all shy. All right. So let me just a couple minutes here and we will see if we can. There's Thomas. There's Garrett. Yeah, they missed me already. Can you believe that? They missed me already. Garrett and Thomas. Yeah.
He looks different.
He looks weird, doesn't he? It's not that much different than in real life, is it? Yeah, it's not that much different. Anyway.
That's way different.
That's way
different. And Garrett and...
Yeah, there's Joe. Joe's finally... Okay, Joe, you can calm down now. He's emailed me like 900 times today to ask me if I'm going to get this thing done. So anyway. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and figure out if I can get the slides up there. I'm not really sure that I can. I might just have to read it and then, yeah, I am on. Yes, I am. But you can hear me okay? No, we're not doing the Grand Canyon.
No.
So, okay. All right. So what I think the best way to do this for now, I know Chris has this Discord server all set up, but I am not that savvy. I don't think.
Just get the paper started.
Just what?
Just get it started.
Just get it started. Well, anyway, I would like to try and find a way that I could put the lecture on there, but I'm not sure that I can do that. But anyway. So, anyway, let me just go through a slide or two here, and then we'll see if it saves and all that kind of stuff too, right? So you're going to have to have your slides out in front of you. So you're not going to be able to look at me anyway. So get your slides out, and we'll do a couple slides, and then we'll go from there. So anyway, hi, are you going to be here while I teach?
Maybe.
Okay. So the cardiovascular system. It is a closed system of the heart and the blood vessels. So we're talking about a pump and we're talking about a piping system. And so we just got done doing blood. We understand the importance of blood. We know all the different things about blood and what it does, but we have to be able to deliver it, and it's in a pressurized system. And we talked about that, and having too high of blood pressure puts a pressure on the pipes. We don't want to blow it out. We don't want to have a leak. We don't, whatever, right? So that is your cardiovascular system. So we can see that the heart is the pump and the blood vessels allow the blood to circulate to all the different parts of the body. So as we look at this, as we go, this whole cardiovascular system, it's that there's two different parts, the pump and the piping, right? So the function, right, is to deliver oxygen and nutrients and remove carbon dioxide and other waste products, right? Which, the delivery of oxygen and the removal of waste products, that is part of the blood's function anyway. We talked about the ability for the iron and the hemoglobin to carry the oxygen, and also to carry the waste away as well, right? So as we keep going here, the cells make the exchange of the nutrients and waste only with the fluid in their immediate vicinity, right? So as the cell, the red blood cells, whatever they exchange, there's this exchange of good stuff like oxygen or whatever, and then the exchange, and it carries the bad stuff away to be excreted or blown off as carbon dioxide or whatever it would be, right? So I'm kind of distracted. This is kind of weird too, because I'm kind of looking outside as I do this, but I'm trying to do this anyway. So changing and refreshing these fluids is necessary to prevent buildup of waste, right? So we know that exchange happens at the blood level. That's why we did blood first. That's why we didn't do blood second, because we wanted to know the importance of blood and what it does. So we did that. And so now with that exchange, we still have to be able to get red blood cell from your big toe where it's making that exchange all the way up to the heart, all the way up to the lungs for the carbon dioxide to be blown off, or what other waste products are going on, right? So That's the whole delivery system. So the heart, when we look at the heart, the next slide, third slide, the location is in the thorax between the lungs. Unfortunately, we probably are not going to get to go to the cadaver lab, but I do have a video that I took that I might try to put in here, but you'll be able to see how the lungs get blown up and the heart is nestled up in between there. And so your heart is nestled in between these two lungs, okay? And so we talk about, so here we're here at week 1, where we're talking about the directionality, right? So posterior, superior, postero, superior. Man, that's weird, Mendoza. Come on. Base points towards the right shoulder and it's beneath the second rib. All right. So, and then the apex is pointed towards the left hip. So when we look at this, that it's like this, right? And so that right posterior portion is to this right shoulder blade, the back right shoulder blade, and then the apex points down towards the left hip. So it's kind of set. It's not straight up and down. It's kind of pointed. Okay. And so it sits down there on the diaphragm at the top of the 6th rib. So you count it down through here, so you're talking about here. So it's the size of your fists. It weighs less than a pound. Okay. So it's not this big, huge thing. If it gets to be big, and we could talk about that when we get to the end of the chapter, if it's too big, that usually means that there's something wrong. Okay. So here in the thorax, between the lungs, it's kind of at an angle. It's pointing down. The apex is pointing down towards that left hip. Okay. All right. So are we still here? Did everybody just leave? Everybody left? There's 6 of you here. So Joe, Garrett, Thomas. There's probably some strange person that doesn't even know what they're doing here. Anyway. So any questions so far? Probably not. This is kind of nice that if it's live, you guys can ask questions right away. And all of you are listening just like you were before in class, so no questions. Okay, so we'll just go, let's do another slide. So as we look at the diagram, okay, you can see within the color diagram, you can see, the blue vessels are always going to represent a vein, all right? And the red vessels are always going to represent an artery. Now, why would that be? Why would... Oh, well, there you are. I didn't see it, Chris. Chill, okay? Wow. All right. I can't... Anyway, you're... Okay. So question-wise, though, as far as vessels, when we talk about... We'll say it, not spray it. When we talk about vessels, blue vessels are represented as veins and red vessels are arteries. Why would that be? Why would they use blue and red? Good. Oxygenated blood, right? So arteries always carry oxygenated blood. Well, sorry, there is a trick question there, okay? And I will tell you what that trick question is, but we have to understand that. So arteries generally carry oxygenated blood. Veins generally carry deoxygenated blood. However, arteries are defined by carrying blood away from the heart, okay? And veins, by definition, are vessels that carry blood towards the heart. Okay? Now, 95%, 99% of the time, an artery is carrying oxygenated blood away from the heart. And 99% of the time, veins are carrying deoxygenated blood towards the heart. Okay, now there's going to be a trick here when we do this. It's not really a trick. It's just, it's the definition of away and towards. Veins towards, arteries away. Artery away, artery away. Get it? Okay, all right. Okay. Anyway, so I don't know. I don't trick you. I gave you plenty. Okay. Boy, this is going to be bad because you guys can really get sassy. All right. So as we do this, all right. So now, let's go back to the heart coverings. I might be able to get a little extra in today. So the heart coverings, all right. So when we talk about peri and epi and endo, that is very similar to when we talked about like muscles, right? The epimysium, the peri, and the endo, right? We talked about those. this is kind of the same thing, right? So the pericardium is this double serous membrane. It's a visceral pericardium is next to the heart, and the parietal pericardium is outside the layer, right? So we've talked about visceral and parietal before, right? Visceral means an organ, right? So the thin membrane that is right on the heart is called the visceral pericardium or the epicardium, right? Epi, remember that? Right, epi, good. So next to the heart, remember that? Okay, what do we got? He's back out again. Okay, nothing. All right, so and then the parietal pericardium is the outside layer. So that is the layer, you can come over here. That is the layer that's lining the cavity that the heart sits in, right? So when we talked about you want to say hi? When we talked about the lungs, we talked about the parietal pleura and the visceral pleura. The visceral pleura is what was on the lungs, and the parietal pleura is what lined the cavity. Well, it's the same thing here when it goes with the heart, right? We have the visceral pericardium, the lining, the membrane that's right directly on the heart is the visceral pericardium or the epicardium. The parietal pericardium is the outside layer, the sac, okay, that it sits in. And in between the visceral and the parietal, we have the serous fluid, right? And it is there to reduce friction, right? So we don't want the two, like when you take two pieces of saran wrap and it's maddening, and you take it and you separate it and then it gets all freaking messed up and you're like, what in the world? And you can't hardly get them apart, right? And so Cole, he went that way. And and so what that does is when you have a fluid, that serous fluid in there, it keeps those two things from sticking together, and it also reduces friction because that thing's never going to stop. It's going to keep going and going and going and going and going and going and going. Okay. Man, I'm down to 3 people. Wow. Everybody quit already. Bunch of losers. Anyway. Okay. So that is not that different than what we've already learned, right? We have learned epi and peri and all that kind of stuff, right? So the next one. So the heart wall. So we have the epicardium, which is the outside layer. It's the visceral pericardium, right? This layer is the visceral pericardium. That is the outside layer, the epicardium. Remember the muscle. And then we had the fascicle sticking out, and then we had the individual muscle fibers. Well, the outside was the epimysium, and then we had the perimysium, and then we had the endomysium or mysium, whatever, right? We had those different things. So epicardium, outside layer, that is the visceral pericardium. Now, the myocardium is the middle layer. That is mostly cardiac muscle. That's the muscle itself and this connective tissue, and it's the actual contracting part of the heart. All right. So when you have a heart attack and you're going to starve that thing of blood, which we call ischemic death, right? Ischemic, lack of blood flow to the tissue. That is what's going to be damaged is the myocardium. Okay. Then we have the endocardium, the inner layer. It has this lining, reduces frictions and continues into the blood vessels, right? So it's allowing that blood to flow through with not a lot of turbulence and not a lot of friction. We want it to be able to flow smooth and free. Okay, we're going to have to remember that we talked about vessels getting plugged up and all that kind of stuff. And if you take a rock and you throw it in the stream and it causes a ripple, we can get platelets activated, or we can get a clot, or we can get whatever. We don't want ripples in the stream. And so it's important for that endothelium lining to reduce friction and allow it to go through the blood vessels so it can go through without having ripples. Okay. All right, hold on. Let me see. Where's Cole? Oh, I'm running out of data. Well, don't watch it on your phone. That's why you use unlimited. I also feel that. So this is actual lecture, or is just a test at this point? It's actually okay. So I'll stop, but I got it to work. Okay. So we went through the first how many slides. I'm hoping that if I end this, I'm hoping that it will save, and then the other people who haven't watched it yet will be able to watch it. Okay. And so, like I said, you're going to have to go along with your slides as I do this. Okay. And I might, I'll probably get a webcam on my thing at work. And that way I could take it off and I could draw some stuff, or I can point it towards whatever I want it to do. Anyway, I'm not really sure yet. So I'm doing this at home. But anyway, what slides did you cover in this video? I covered slides 1 through 7. I went all the way to the heart wall. And the next one is that external heart anatomy. And so we're going to need to know quite a bit of that. And we'll go through that. But as we go, a lot of this looks kind of crazy, like atriums and ventricles and all this kind of stuff. But as we go through the chapter, we unpack all of that. All right. So don't want you to freak out about it. This is just like any other chapter. It always is like, what am I going to do? And it's not really that bad. So, all right. So I think that this will work pretty good. I will try to do this on my lunch break every day. So it may only be a half hour. It may be 15 minutes. I may just decide I'm going to bust out a whole bunch of it. So I think that you guys can go back and watch this as you want to. All right. So any questions at this point? Joe, do you have a question? Or Garrett or somebody? Hey, Clay, do you want to say bye? Cole, you want to say bye? All right, he already did. Cole doesn't. He doesn't care. Kari, do you want to say hi? I'm sure she doesn't. Do you want to say hi to my class? No? They'll see you, all right. In all your glory. In all your homeschool glory. You do look like a slob. She looks like a slob. You want to see her? Oh, say hi, Kari. Clay, come here. Say hi. So anyway.
Goodbye.
Clay, you going to say hi? Ellie wants you to say hi. Question, can we see the canyon? Can they see the canyon, Clay? All right, he's not showing it. He's too shy right now. Give him a day or two. Come here. Say hi to Ellie. Are you blind? Are you blind? Quit it. Are you blind? You say hi? Hi. Hi. He's shy. All right, I'm going to be done. I'll try to make these to the point. You can go back and watch them. And then as you get questions, either email me or get on here and ask me, and I would be happy to answer them in front of, and so it'd be recorded and everybody would do that. So we'll try to do that. And I would assume that it would record the live chat as we did it too, right? Anyway, we'll see. All right. You guys have a good evening. I will try to do this in better time tomorrow, and hopefully this will work for us. All right. Have a good evening.